Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new video. Today it's your boy Nuggs, and I'm going to be talking about budgeting as a dasher. Gas is on the rise and cars are not free to run. Not only that, but these gig apps are constantly doing anything they can to take a jab at our pay. Now, I had this idea a few weeks ago, and of course I go to write my script, and then yesterday I go on YouTube and what do I see? A video from the man, the myth, the legend, Blake Moore. Basically exactly what I wanted to do. I know sometimes it may seem like we coordinate our videos together, but I promise you we don't. His video does cover some good information if you'd like to check that out, but I'm going to have my own spin on budgeting. I'm going to be talking about how you can keep the most amount of money in your pocket. Obviously, there's a lot of things that are outside of your control. Most of us did not buy a vehicle specifically for gig work in mind. Most of us are just driving whatever we already had, and that could mean that you're driving something pretty nice, or you're driving something that's very fuel inefficient. But regardless of whatever you drive, there's still some things we can do to save some money. Now, this isn't possible for everybody, but for most people it is. And this might be self-explanatory, but I made this mistake when I first started, so I don't want you guys to make this mistake. Assuming that you live in a DoorDash zone, you want to go ahead and start your dash from home and wait until you get your first order before you even turn your car on. I used to make this mistake a lot where I would get in my car, go drive maybe 5 miles to a restaurant, and just sit there and then turn on my dash, and then I go to find out that it's not even that busy, or it takes me to a completely another side of town and I wasted my gas money. It makes the most sense to go ahead and take your first order at home, then get in your car, start your car, go to the restaurant instead of mindlessly driving around and waiting. And that brings me to my very next topic, which is to not drive around waiting for orders. You want to go ahead and go where you normally would to wait for orders and sit there and park. And if you're going to have to be waiting forever, do not drive around. Some people really think that that's a smart thing to do. Now, yes, if you live in sort of an area where there's restaurants on 5 miles on each side, very big area, if you do drive around, you're going to put yourself closer to other restaurants, which could get you more orders. But if you were to drive around for 5 miles before you get your first order, not only have you just wasted money on your time, but you've also wasted money on gas. From my experience, if you just sit and wait, eventually you will get something, but I just personally think it's a huge waste of money to just drive around hoping to get something. Now, speaking of the cost of gas, if your gas is on the higher side, then you need to up your standards a little bit. If your gas is on all the way up to $5, $6 a gallon, which is just insane, you want to go ahead and try to take orders that are $2 per mile. You got to make your time worth it when gas is so high. I would look like an asshole if I complained about my gas right now, considering it's only actually $2.89 per gallon. And I know there's plenty of people who pay more than twice as much as me. But regardless, paying gas is never fun. Even though my gas is a little bit cheaper, I never wake up in the morning and say, "Woo! I can't wait to pay gas." And if you know anybody who gets that excited about paying gas, disconnect them from your life. Run and hide. DoorDash offers a Dasher Direct card that if you get this and you use it to purchase gas, you'll get like 2% back, which doesn't sound like a lot, but let's say you spend around $80 per week on gas. At the end of the year, you would have around $100 back on gas. There's also Get Upside, which I've talked about before, which is an app where basically you punch in your card into the app and you click check in when you get to a gas station. And if you pay with that same card, after a few days, you'll get anywhere from 5 to 15 cents back per gallon. Now, how you really start to save money is you stack them together. You get the Dasher Direct card, you get 2% back, and you also use that card with Get Upside, and you'll get back an additional 5 to 15 cents. It really saves you a lot of money on gas. But the Dasher Direct card, I would not use as your main bank card. I would not switch to it because, well, it's DoorDash we're talking about. If we can't trust their app to work, I would not trust putting all of my money on their card. So I would only put just enough money on that card for gas for, let's say, a few weeks and rinse and repeat. And if you use that just as like a gas card, it can save you money. If you're not tracking how many miles you drive, you need to start. There's different apps you can get, or you can even do it the old-fashioned way where you write down your odometer when you start your car and then whenever you complete your dashing. Whatever suits your fancy, but it will be the biggest help for you to save money at the end of the year. Any car maintenance that you get, you need to save receipts on that. Anything that you buy specifically for gig work, let's say a little cart for carrying groceries or even a phone mount, you need to save receipts for those. Again, I'll get to that later. Keep track of your oil changes. If you can change your own oil, go ahead and you'll save even more money there, but I think I would rather sit on the side of the road with fake tits and let a bearded man come by and change my oil before I even attempt to do anything like that. That's not my cup of tea. I don't mess with that. But if we're speaking about car maintenance, of course you need to save money for your car. If you drive a beater, I would say probably save 20 cents per mile. If you drive something that's very fuel efficient, I would say maybe 10 cents per mile that you drive, and I would hold back 15 cents if you were in the middle, of course. That leaves for every 1,000 miles anywhere from $100 to $200 for, this goes for tires and of course oil changes, and it wouldn't hurt to save even a little bit more than that, as you have no idea what could possibly just go wrong under the hood. My very first car that I started with gig work was a Subaru Legacy.
Day after Christmas, boys. Here we go. Not too shabby.
I was expecting it to be a lot louder.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I spent so much money on that car. That car for gig work, I think I drove about 10,000 miles on before I got my new car, and in those 10,000 miles, I think I spent several $1,000s in car maintenance. The car was constantly breaking down, it was just a mess. So it does not hurt to save extra. So let's talk about taxes now. Now, I'm no tax accountant, and I'm actually going to get with a tax accountant this year because I don't want to mess anything up, but I do know the very basics about taxes when it comes to gig work. The absolute very basics of taxes is that you have to pay about 30% on your taxable income, and your taxable income is basically everything after deductions. Now, the easiest form of a tax deduction for gig work is the 56 cents for every mile that you drive. I have a good example here. So if you made $40,000 in 1 year, but that took you 30,000 miles of driving, the government will now allow you to write off 56 cents for every mile that you drove, and in this case, that means you get to write off $16,000. So your new taxable income is now $24,000. And there's other write-offs, like I said, anything that you buy specifically 100% for gig work, like a cart, any phone accessories, like a mount, even a dash cam, I believe, could be written off. Let's say all of those things you bought for gig work now totals to $500. So that means you could write that off as well, and your new income after is now $23,500. Now, depending on your state, you'll pay about 25 to 30% on that. Let's say 30%. 30% of the $23,500 is $7,050. So at the end of the day, you would end up coughing up $7,050 if you were to have made $40,000 in a year, which is about 17% of your total earnings. But personally, I would always say to save 20% just to be sure. Now, of course, if you drive more miles, you'll pay less in taxes, but that doesn't mean to just drive mindlessly just so you don't have to pay as much in taxes, because, well, you're still gonna be paying more in car maintenance and you're still gonna be paying more in gas. And even if you have a new vehicle, still don't do it because you're just gonna drive the value of your car down in like 2 years. Already more than gig work already would. So let's talk about food, because this is honestly a huge expense when it comes to dashing. There's a few things in this world that I personally believe that you do not cheap out on. And I think your health is one of them. So while eating rice-a-roni all day, every day for every single meal would probably be the cheapest way to go, I'm not sure if that would be the best for your health. I wake up in the morning, and before I go out, I cook my meals. I'll always wake up, usually anywhere from 6 to 8, and I'll cook my breakfast, eat my breakfast, and then if I'm scheduled to, let's say, go out at 11, I'll cook my lunch and I'll bring it with me. And if I'm doing a super long day, I'll cook my lunch and my dinner. I'll start the morning with some whole grain blueberry pancakes and some eggs for breakfast. I'll have pasta for lunch. Pasta is just so dirt cheap. And I'll get some chicken and vegetables for dinner. Who knows what I'm feeling. And you might be like, well, all that stuff sounds really expensive, but it's really not. I have been cooking most of my meals now for over 2 months, and I'm spending less than half of what I was when I used to be eating out every single day. Now, I actually enjoy cooking. Not everybody might enjoy cooking, but if you do, at least cook, one of your meals. You cook your lunch, then maybe for dinner, you'll go out. Now, personally, I purchased this food warmer for $30, but it also plugs into a wall, so I had to get a cigarette lighter to wall outlet, which was also another $30. So I spent $60 basically on a food warmer. You absolutely do not have to do this, but I don't like to eat cold food. So I did this and I feel like I've used these $60 to save more than $60 on fast food. It's not that buying fast food here and there is going to kill you, but if you do it every single day, it's really gonna hurt your wallet. It really adds up. 2 meals a day, let's say $15. You work 5 days a week, that's $75 a week on food. And if that doesn't sound like a lot, that's over $300 a month on food. It's okay in moderation here and there, and you gotta see everything as having value. Now, I can't quite remember where I heard this, but I was listening to a podcast where they talked about everything in your life having value. So if you see it as having value as when you're out to go ahead and stop for 30 minutes and pick something up for $8, if you think that you're going to go out and maybe dash a little bit longer, or let's say even you get a coffee in the morning every morning, if you think that that coffee is going to provide, $5 worth of value to your day, or the meal $10 worth of value to your day, then absolutely by all means go ahead. None of the things that I talked about today are going to instantly make you rich. Otherwise, maybe I would be rich, but I'm not rich. But it's just little changes that we have to make over time that eventually will add up to something bigger. If you can cut costs here and there, and if you're a little bit more confident about the things that you do spend money on, you'll absolutely take control over your life. And then whenever they cut our base pay down to maybe a couple of dimes and a nickel, maybe our life won't be so bad. Anyways, if you guys like this video, make sure to drop a like. And I know what you're thinking, Nuggs, it's been a week since you uploaded. And I do want to apologize, but I've had a lot of things going on in my life personally. And then this weekend, I'm going to be heading to a wedding. But as soon as I get back, I'm going to kick it into full gear. But there's some things that I had to go and take some time for. So anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Dash on.